she is a puppet who is being controlled by a cadre. We don't know quite who's on this committee, but a cadre of people who want to fundamentally transform the United States of America. And what do they want to transform it into? They want to transform it into a socialist paradise. And that, if they given a chance, they would do that.
But before we get into our conversation, my name's Eric Metaxas, and this channel exists to bring you a biblical perspective on today's news, culture, and hot-button issues. If you're new here or not, welcome, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you are notified when new videos get posted.
You may have noticed that although Donald Trump, sort of ex officio, as it were, is the biggest threat the country has ever seen.
Yeah.
And,
he's a bigger threat than Washington or Lincoln.
Right. Yes, right, exactly. And, January 6th, when people went on their self-guided tour of the Capitol, this was at least as serious as the Civil War, Pearl Harbor, all of these things rolled up together.
Yeah.
And then you may have noticed, though, I begin my essay by quoting the headlines from various New York Times stories over the last couple of years about what a threat to democracy the Constitution is, how the Constitution is a bad thing. We have to rethink it. And then this, it's almost too good to be true, but it is true. A chap called Erwin Chemerinsky, who was the dean of the law school at Berkeley.
California, Berkeley.
Yes. So he wrote a book called No Democracy Lasts Forever, and it's basically an attack on the Constitution. He says it's undemocratic, and we have to find a way to overthrow it. If we can't do it by a constitutional convention, we might even have to have some states secede. He acknowledges that might be a problem since it's been declared unconstitutional, but he's a brave chap. He's going to bulldoze his way through. But this is an incredible book. There's no left-wing piety to which he does not genuflect. There's a picture on the opening bit of the book. It shows the gallows that was erected on the Capitol grounds right before January 6th. So nobody knows who did that. They could find your grandmother.
Probably the FBI did it.
Yes.
With the help of the CIA.
Yes, or some other government agency.
Yeah.
This was not an insurrection; it was a Fedsurrection,
Yes.
as Darren Beattie put it. But so he, along with the New York Times, is beating the drum to get rid of the Constitution because it's a threat to democracy. Well, here's the thing. Political thinkers from ancient times down to our own day have understood that democracy is a threat to liberty. That may sound odd, but Plato thought it was terrible. Aristotle thought it was the worst form of government. James Madison in Federalist 10 said, the sort of democracies that the classical world had, they tended to be as short in their lives as they were bloody in their deaths. So the genius of our founding fathers, people like Madison and Hamilton, was to forge a system of government which was democratic in the sense that the people themselves were sovereign, but that there were many mediating layers so that democracy would not degenerate into ochlocracy. That's a nice Greek word. It means mob rule.
Right.
And that's what these guys are all about. And whenever you hear the phrase, our democracy, remember that what they really mean is their oligarchy.
Yeah.
When Nancy Pelosi talks about our democracy, she means this form of government that favors this tiny cadre of moneyed elites who occupy the swamp.
They spit on the deplorables. They hate we the people. And let's be real clear in case anybody's not tracking. America is not a democracy. We are a republic, different from a democracy. And that's the point, Roger, that you're making. We have to be very careful in our understanding of it. And the way they have been sloppy about it, and in some cases deliberately obfuscating, and in other cases gaslighting. I mean, when you have this Berkeley professor writing a book, what he is banking on is the ignorance of Americans.
Yes.
There are enough
Yes.
Americans
Yes.
that are ignorant of what we are and
Right.
what America is, what a republic is, that you can fool them and you can say stuff
Right.
and just get them confused. That's exactly what he's doing, and that's what the New York Times has been doing.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to say that the universe does have a sense of humor, because I did not make this connection when I wrote about this chap, but you remember a few months ago at Berkeley, a professor had all of these law students over to his house for a barbecue or cookout or something. And one of the students, or a group of the students, used this occasion to indulge in a little pro-Palestinian demonstration with megaphones and so on. So this professor's wife actually took the megaphone away from one of the kids, and somebody told me that she was actually arrested for this. But anyway, it's. I think the universe does have a sense of humor sometimes.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about is, of course, extremely important and serious. We're talking about we're talking about our republic and whether it can survive.
Yes.
What I keep saying, I say it in my new book, Religionless Christianity, that this is the third existential crisis of our history. The first is the revolution. Second is the Civil War. We are now in the third, and whatever it is,
we are in a cold civil war. Cold so far, but you're absolutely right about that. I mean, there is the fundamental understanding of who we are as a people is being challenged daily. And it's not just the Democrats, by the way. It is the swamp.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is there are plenty of Republicans who've signed on to this project as well. And if we're really going to make an important change that can allow us to recapture the values of our republic, we have to downgrade the place of Washington in the metabolism of our political life, because Washington is, a wholly owned subsidiary of the far left. It is basically the headquarters of the regime party. It is the place where people go to suck the substance of the taxpayers. That's why you walk down the street in Washington, every second building is the lobbyist for this, the lobbyist for that, or it's an embassy from some third world country trying to get aid from the United States. It's a nice stage set, but I think we should take a page from Donald Trump's first administration and seek to move large parts of Washington out of Washington to the hinterlands.
Wow.
And
export the swamp.
Export. So David, the Department of the Interior, it should be in the interior. Now that's phase one.
Actually, I'd like to deport the swamp. Excuse me, we're going to go to a break. Folks, I'm talking to Roger Kimball. You can read all about this. I recommend you do at newcriterion.com, newcriterion.com. We'll be right back. Did you know that every solar panel needs silver paste to work its magic? And the demand for solar power is doubling every 3 years, so silver is set to take off. A silver IRA with Noble Gold makes perfect sense. No matter who wins the election or what the economy does, silver's future looks dazzling. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com now to claim up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Let's catch this silver tsunami together. We are now at a place in America where enough people have, and I include myself in this group until recently, we've not heard clearly about who we are and what it means to be free, and it's drifted enough so that there's some confusion. And into this confusion comes the Marxists and the oligarchs and the deep state globalist monsters who are dedicated enemies of America on the founders' model. Dedicated enemies. And they have stepped in, and they are doing their best to gaslight the American citizenry. And we've never seen anything quite like it. I mean, it's gotten worse and worse, but Kamala Harris is, I mean, there's no other way to put it. She is as brazen a liar as anyone I've ever, there's nothing like it. The only thing to compare is the late Joe Biden, and when I say late Joe Biden, I mean that in both senses of the word.
Yes.
He gave a few speeches that were just blood red.
Well, a couple. Yes, that was horrible. I felt that Leni Riefenstahl,
Oh, yeah.
who was Hitler's
She's still
stage
alive, by
manager.
the way. She's making
Oh, no.
underwater films. Just kidding.
Oh yeah. Yes. See, I mean, that was an amazing speech at Philadelphia. Well, just a couple days ago, maybe it was yesterday even, Biden was introducing various foreign dignitaries, and he forgot the name
that was
of the
classic.
Prime Minister
Yeah.
of India. You know, it's you know.
And he said, "Who?"
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, that's the name of the prime minister. Who? Yes. Sorry. It was.
Mr. Modi.
It's she. I thought it was a he. It was like an Abbott and Costello routine. But the fact of the matter is that's the least of the problems, that we have incompetence is one level of horror, but then we have willful malevolence, and that's what you have with Harris and Waltz. They are saying things. I mean, the debate. It's one thing. I was saying that there's levels of lie.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The most brazen lie that I've seen is when you tell a lie that has been publicly, thoroughly debunked.
Yes.
And you don't care. You have such contempt, not just for the truth, but for the American citizenry,
Yes.
that you tell it again and again because you think, they're not watching. They don't know that it was debunked.
You know, that old Latin tag, repetitio mater memoriae, repetition is the mother of memory. And they hope if they say something often enough, with enough conviction, that people will begin to believe it. So Donald Trump in Charlottesville said there were good people on both sides, both the, saying
that
white
they were good
nationalist
neo-Nazis,
thugs.
which he never said, of course.
He never said that. In fact, if you look at the clip, he says the opposite.
Yeah.
He says the opposite. And actually, Kamala Harris's performance in that debate was extraordinary because it was lie after lie after lie.
Okay, and then to take it to the next level, and again, we're talking about the level of lies, right? So it wasn't just lie after lie. It was brazen lie after brazen
Yes.
lie. Because again, politicians lie a little bit. This was different. These were brazen lies. But what made it even worse, what makes it positively satanic to me, is that she numerous times said, you are going to be hearing lies from Donald
Yes.
Trump. And
Yeah, of course.
this is
Well,
what
so
makes it impossible for your average person.
It's projection. That's what the Democrats specialize in, what Freud called projection. They are guilty of the very things that they accuse their political opponents of doing. And I think that Kamala Harris, in many ways, quite apart from her inherent mendacity, is a curious figure because she's a little bit like Oakland, the city of Oakland, as described by Gertrude Stein, when she said there's no there there. Well, there's no there for Kamala Harris. Anyone who saw her, I'm not quite sure what to call it, her exchange with Oprah Winfrey the other day. I mean, it was just sugar-coated, empty, calorie-free cliche after cliche.
The way I would put it is, deep down, she's really shallow.
Yes. Deep down, she's very shallow.
No, but I mean, it's a level of shallowness. It's almost like all surface.
But yes,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is. But some people are lulled into the mistaken belief that means that she's not dangerous. That is completely untrue because she is a puppet who is being controlled by a cadre. We don't know quite who's on this committee, but a cadre of people who want to fundamentally transform the United States of America, to use Barack Obama's phrase. And what do they want to transform it into? They want to transform it into a socialist paradise, which means, properly translated, a socialist hellhole. And that, if they given a chance, they would do that.
Oh, and they're being given a chance, and they will do that unless we, the people, fight back with everything we have. So this is very serious. And I think, to me, we're on this knife edge because anybody who thinks that, we're going to win, to me, it really is like the Revolution or the Civil War. We should lose, we might win if we fight, and if God gives us the victory. But the idea that, we'll win, I think is very naive because what the Democrats have made clear is they genuinely have no principles. They will lie, they will steal, they will do literally anything. They will create a black swan event. They will create the J6 idiocy. They will do anything they can. They will imprison political opponents. And the only thing is, can we get enough people to see that and to take action and to vote and to get their friends vote before it's too late? And literally, you who are listening, you might be the tipping point. No pressure.
You must vote. Everyone must vote.
At least once. Vote. We'll be right back. To my mind, we're at a tipping point. It's an existential crisis. We could and should lose it all. But maybe, by God's grace, which he showed in the Revolution and showed to us in the Civil War, we may prevail, but it's a war.
It is a war, and people should be aware of that. And the people who are on the other side, who keep screaming that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, and will do, as you said in the last segment, just about anything to prevent
I think literally anything.
Yes.
Anything they could conceivably get away with, they will do, including put a bullet in his head twice, three times, whatever they need to do, because that would end the threat.
Right. They are not irrational about this, because were Donald Trump to be reelected, he would represent an existential threat to their gravy train.
To the deep state, to tyranny.
Right. Now, we know what Donald Trump would be like as a president. He wouldn't be a dictator. We know because he was president for 4 years. We had an incredibly prosperous economy. We had a southern border. Remember that? That was nice. We were energy independent. We had a regulatory environment that was getting better and better. He stripped back that Title IX insanity in colleges and universities. On foreign affairs, he got rid of ISIS. They're gone. They were gone. Now they're back. The Abraham Accords, where there were flights between Israel and Saudi Arabia, that was a world historic diplomatic achievement for which he should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's a very long list of accomplishments. So we know what he was like. He didn't put Hillary Clinton in jail, although she did things that she should have probably been prosecuted for. He didn't. There were no, gulags or anything like that. He just wanted to make America great again, and he was very, very far down the road to doing that. So there's an hysteria on the other side, which I think is in some ways consoling, because I think that hysteria suggests to me that they are beginning to make mistakes. And I don't believe when people say, "Oh, the polls are very close. It's it's going to be a knife-edge election." I don't think that's true. I think that absent divine intervention in the shape of a bullet or something like that, Donald Trump is not only going to win, he's going to win in a veritable landslide.
Well, I mean, again, if they count all the votes, I mean, I believe that he won the last time.
All the votes, but only the votes.
But I mean, this is where we are. Again, I do write about this in my book, if you can keep it briefly. But I mention that if you undermine we the people's confidence in the idea that we the people govern ourselves, if you can do that, you can destroy America. In other words, if you give people the idea that, your vote doesn't count, the election is going to be stolen, it's all corrupt, they're all the same, if you can do that, which has been happening, you can destroy America that way.
True. That is definitely true. And Tocqueville, so we were talking about Tocqueville earlier, he says that despotism would come to a democracy or a republic, not by tyrannizing over people, but by infantilizing them and turning them essentially into sheep, of which the government is the shepherd. And that we are right on the cusp of that right now, where we are actually governed not by Congress. They don't do Article 1 of the Constitution says that all legislative power is vested in Congress, but that was a long time ago. That's all been spun off to this alphabet soup of agencies and so on. They're not elected. They're basically not accountable, but they run your life. They run your life, and it's that's one of the things that Donald Trump wants to fix.
And I just want to be clear that if he is not elected and actually does this, it will never happen. This is it. There is no figure like Donald Trump who has the will and the personality, the kind of character who could do this. Who's a warrior and who understands this is it.
You're absolutely right about that. And I have to say, he's running a terrific campaign, and he's surrounded himself with very impressive people. I mean, I think that J.D. Vance is fantastic. I know him a little bit. He's terrific.
Yes, he
very
is.
articulate, very smart. He's got the right values. I disagree with Robert Kennedy Jr. about certain things, but he is a very potent ally, as is Tulsi Gabbard, as is Elon Musk, as is Vivek Ramaswamy. And it's a very long list of people. Who does Kamala Harris have? She has Tim Walz, this fruitcake from Minnesota. I mean, this guy is really right out of central casting. Why did he go to China 32 times? I believe it was 32 times. What was he doing there?
I mean, he may well be a Chinese asset.
Yeah,
I mean, I
might
think
very
we have
well.
to be really clear.
Yes.
There's no exaggeration. He may very well
Yes.
be a Chinese asset.
And why is he proposing to put feminine hygiene products in boys' bathrooms? The guy has a screw loose, and the fact that but I am grateful to him for one thing. Just the other day, he was at a rally or a speech or something. He said, we have to emancipate ourselves from what's been going on here for the last 4 years. I couldn't agree more.
It was amazing. I mean, it's the Democrats misspeak so often that it's very interesting because it's not just telling what they say; it's telling that they misspeak that often. It really is.
Well,
we've never seen anything like it.
The truth just kind of slipped in for a brief
Well,
moment.
I was going to say,
and then it was shunted off stage again.
The truth will out.